everybody, this is Gilbert, and you're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast.
It's Stu's Wrestling Podcast's 50th episode extravaganza. A big congratulations to Stu on this milestone achievement, and a thank you to all the listeners for tuning in. As a special treat, today we're taking you all to Hollywood with the gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Thank you to Mike Angus for that special intro. It's episode 50 and we have got Jeanne Basone, aka Hollywood, from the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, Glow. Glow was a huge show in the 80s and it was remade for television as a Netflix original series. It's the first girl to be selected for a role as one of the wrestlers in the show, and she was chosen to be Hollywood. She talks about all that, being trained by Mundo Guerrero from one of the greatest wrestling families in the history of wrestling. We talk about her appearance on Family Feud against the WCW NWA guys, then going into TV shows that she appeared in after Glow and how it changed. Unions, being part of the union was more secure for her for work. We talk current projects that she's doing, including Hollywood Botanica. She makes artisan soaps, and we talk about that too. So without further ado, it is the celebratory episode 50 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast with Jeanne Basone, aka Hollywood from Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Enjoy. It is my pleasure to have all the way from the US of A coming to you in the UK, whoever's going to be listening to this, we're worldwide now. It's Jeanne Basone, and you will know her most notably as Hollywood from Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, which is Glow. How's it going, Jeanne?
I am doing well, my friend. How's it going with you? Are you safe? Are you healthy? Good.
We're trying our best, Jeanne. We're trying our best over here, I tell you. It's just it's the distancing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And your mask. I mean, and the mask. I know some people don't want to wear the mask, but no, I have been wearing mine since day one. We don't really go. I go to the store. That's about it, and everything is a drive-through. If I have to go through the bank, or if I want something special to eat or pick something up, it's common sense, really. It's just common sense, you know. I just rather be safe than sorry. It's not a political thing. It's just who wants to be asymptomatic and then spread it to your folks, to the older people. That's just what it is for me. It's just trying to be safe at all times.
Which state are you in, just so we know? Right now
I'm in Tennessee.
Right.
But I go visit my folks who are in California, and I go to California once a month. And then there are times I haven't even been to New York. I was scheduled in March. I canceled it. I canceled Chicago. A lot of things have been postponed and canceled. Conventions. Very weary about going to a few that are coming up in September. I'm going to play that by ear. But I think the way that things are going, and I've been watching the news, it doesn't look very promising. It feels like things are escalating again. So I'm happy, you know, at the house. And if I do fly, because I've been to California a couple of times, I'm always wearing the mask. If I see my folks who are close to 80 now, I might visit them outside in the backyard, and we keep our distance. But it's just, again, it's just mostly common sense to keep everybody healthy. Because how do I know if I have it or not?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Without being tested, I have no symptoms. My boyfriend got tested just because it's a fluke. He pulled something in his shoulder. He plays guitar, so he was having some issues with the shoulder strap. And he just said, hey, can I get tested? And they said yes. So he was negative. So that's a good sign to know that at least, you know, the person that you've been with for 18 years and 24/7 these days is negative. So that's a good thing.
That's good.
So
that's good.
That's very good. Yeah.
At least you're both healthy.
Absolutely.
That's all. That's all we want, Jeanne. That's all we want. Right. I'm going to get into it now. The first question, I open with this pretty much 90% of the time. When did you first see pro wrestling?
So when I first saw first pro wrestling, it was through being at Grandma and Grandpa's. My grandfather had it on the television set, and I was like, I don't get it. What are these two large men fighting against each other? How it just didn't do anything for me, but I'm a kid, I'm a child. And then it wasn't really until I had the audition where I really started watching and learning and figuring out, oh, this is how it works. Bad guy, good guy. You tell a story, you wrestle. At the end, there's a winner. Wow, this is kind of cool.
Which guys and gals jumped out the screen at you at the time, if you can remember?
Back in the day, I would say it would be Hulk Hogan, Jesse the Bod Ventura, Andre the Giant. I would have loved to have met him. So those, and then there wasn't really a lot of women back then, so I can't say that I had a favorite, but then by reading, going back into history to Mildred Burke and to the Mae Youngs, the Penny Banner, Elvira Snodgrass. I mean, there are just so many names out there. Some are more popular than others. To read their stories. Penny Banner, I'll read for you. Penny Banner, I read her book. She says in her book that Elvis Presley loved wrestling, women's wrestling, and he would come, he would wait in his limo, and he would wait for Penny to get done, and then those two would go off and hang out. So I thought that was a really cool story that she told.
I didn't know Elvis.
You never know.
I would never have known Elvis
I know.
wrestling.
I didn't either.
Crazy.
I didn't either, right?
Yeah. Jeannie, I'm going to go to you now with wrestling. And
okay.
I suppose the best thing to ask, firstly, is when did training begin for you personally?
Training began for me. There was a huge audition in 1985. Anybody who was at that audition could go down and train. So I went down. Mondo Guerrero was training everybody. He comes from a huge wrestling family, very legit. I went into the training in 1985, somewhere around, I'd say September or October, the fall. And they were only needing 12 individuals, 12 girls to do the pilot. So I trained, and I trained Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays after work, of course. And I noticed that there were less and less people because they were weeding out the girls that could and couldn't. And I was one of the ones that could. And we filmed the pilot in 1985 in December. We were at the Riviera Hotel. So we filmed that in 1985. 1986 comes around, and now we have to sell the show for syndication. So they took 4 of us to a huge convention called NATPE, N-A-T-P-E, and we were there selling the show. We ended up selling the show. I quit my job in April, and I moved to Las Vegas to shoot not 1, not 2, but 4 seasons of Glow. So I'm really the only one that did the pilot and all 4 seasons. Now, Mountain Fiji came in on the first season, and Mountain Fiji, who's passed, bless her soul, is did 4 seasons. So I'm the only one that did the pilot in all 4 seasons. So I had seen girls come and go, and people getting injured, and whatnot. But what a great ride.
How just to go back to training, how tough was it? Like, obviously, you were learning your craft. How tough was it for you personally, the training side of it?
The training for me, because I was already pretty coordinated. Let's say I played softball, volleyball, basketball, track. I did all of those way before Glow. So, I mean, I already had that kind of a background. So for me, it was just watching and learning. It was forward rolls, backward rolls, drop kick. It just, just learning like anything else. And when you're 21 years old, you're fearless. You're not afraid. Mondo said, which one of you can ram your head and he goes like this, which one of you can ram your head into the turnbuckle, turn over and land on your back? And I raised my hand. So that's where you're fearless. Sure, I can do that. I tried it, and that's what they wanted. They wanted girls, you know, because back in that day, I don't believe any of those girls were into pro wrestling. There's no way. They were mostly, they could be dancers, acrobats, gymnasts. We had cheerleaders, you know, but not me. I was in a laboratory drawing people's blood, you know, but I definitely had a good physical background. So for me, it was pretty simple.
You were the first of the girls to be recruited. I'm right saying that, aren't I?
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, to be the first one. Did you have creative ideas for the character, or were you told how the character would be?
So first of all, before the girls were chosen, they said, these are the characters that we have in mind for you girls to play. There were different sorts, and Hollywood and Vine, those characters appealed to me, as did Tina and Ashley. I'm like, those are characters that I could relate to. So when they said, Jeannie, you're going to be Hollywood, I was like, yes, oh, this is exciting. So from there, they said to me, okay, I go, well, what is Hollywood? Well, she's a bad girl. All right, so that's easy. She doesn't follow directions or rules, breaks rules. And they said that we were these street punks. I'm like, God, I go, what? A street punk? This is interesting. Let's see how that works. What I started doing is I wasn't quite liking the outfit that they came up for me, this one piece that was just unflattering for my body type. I'm really skinny thin, not any curves anywhere. So I started coming up with other ideas for the character. So if you think about the 80s and music, I was way into 80s rock and roll, which would be classic rock today, I guess. I don't know, but what hard rock. So I'm like watching these chicks on Motley Crue videos, Judas Priest videos, Cinderella videos, and they had crimped hair, and they had gloves, and they had corsets, and fishnets. I'm like, I am going to dress like that. So I had a lot of input on the way that they let me. I didn't even have to ask anybody. I just started bringing in outfits, and just one for Vine, one for me. The animal print, when animal print was like, you know, which still is today, actually. So yeah, we had a lot of input. At least I did, for my character, as far as what to wear, hair, makeup.
Cool to have the creative freedom, because obviously you hear about, you know, over at WWE, a lot of it, you know, they're told what they've got to do and how the character should be. So it's cool that you had the freedom to do that.
Yeah. Well, they did. They gave some of us freedom and some not. You know what I mean? I mean, there were specific, like the Russian needed to be in that specific outfit. Royal Hawaiian would be in her specific outfit. I mean, you got to change here and there, but if you look, like, they all have the same outfits. Mountain Fiji had the same outfit. Matilda the Hun had the same outfit. If you look at some of the matches from season 1 to 4, I have different color hair. So that was really cool about my characters. I could change the hair. At least he let me have mine long. Some people, like poor Lightning, he wanted Lightning, who had hair to here, to chop it off to here as a superheroine. I know she didn't like that. No, Godiva, she had the same outfit because that's Lady Godiva. So for me, I was very lucky that we had the opportunity to take it a step farther and make our characters look hot or not.
You touched upon, you said about Tina Ferrari, and we obviously know her very well as Ivory in her STEM.
Correct.
WWE. Now, I know Stone Cold gives a lot of praise to Tina Ferrari when he does the podcast. He was a big fan. So how is it working with Tina Ferrari, as we would call her from Glow?
She was a star from the get-go. She had it together. Her and Ashley were cheerleaders, and they were dancers, and they had been in front of a live audience and a crowd. So they were way 5 steps, 10 steps ahead of me. I'd never been on TV. I never acted. I didn't perform in front of a live audience. So right away, I would say both of those girls had star quality immediately. And she was just really well all around in the ring. And she deserved to be champion. And she deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, you know, and move on. So very proud of her.
I remember being at WrestleMania Fan Access, and she was busy. She was walking. I wanted to say hello, like I let her. She was busy.
Yeah.
She was obviously
That's okay.
doing a signing, but she was. She just seems such a nice woman, lady.
Absolutely.
So that's cool.
Great, wonderful girl.
Which other girls on the roster did you enjoy working with?
I enjoyed back in the day all of the ladies. The best matches that I had, though, were with the Farmer's Daughters. Oh, my gosh. The heat with us was just crazy because the first Farmer's Daughter, Sally, went to the same high school as me. So when you are, you know, wrestling against someone that you went to school with and you want to win and she wants to win, it was heated every time. I mean, you got the best matches. They'd say, Hollywood, you're wrestling Sally. I go, again? They were just the best matches. That's why. Even though we didn't get along very well, that made for even more successful matches. Yeah. I liked her. Everybody was wonderful. Fiji, you knew you were never going to beat a 350-pound woman, ever. Americana, what a sweet woman. Really, really nice. I'm so glad that I didn't have to wrestle any of the heels, because if I had to wrestle Spanish Red, oh boy, there would have been some heat there too. She was fiery, great worker for sure. Godiva and I, we were both bad guys. But my favorite seasons were season 1 and 2, just because, you know, we all trained together, we all were learning together. And by the time season 3 came along, 99% of the girls left, and we had all new characters for season 3 and 4. So I had to, make friends with new girls who were just learning again. I took a lot of, I didn't come in and have to work, 7 days a week thank goodness. So I would go back to California after the shows on Saturday night. So I'd had Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday night in California. And then I'd fly back to Las Vegas and then get ready for the show for Saturday. So it's pretty cool.
It's that age-old question that we all ponder. Is wrestling fixed? This is Bill Apter, and my answer to that is I didn't know it was broken. So many of you know me from my days back at the classic wrestling magazines, and a lot of you from OneWrestling.com and OneWrestlingVideo.com. But I always get questions about various things I did through the years to propel my career to where it is today as the world's most recognizable journalist in pro wrestling. What was my relationship with the McMahons? Was I the guy who started that feud between the actor, comedian Andy Kaufman and Jerry the King Lawler? What is Ric Flair really like? Who are my favorites? Well, all this and more answered in my book that you can get online or at your favorite book dealer, called Is Wrestling Fixed? I Didn't Know It Was Broken. It's a great read, got great views, and hopefully you'll be picking it up soon too. So the answer to Is Wrestling Fixed? You know it now. I Didn't Know It Was Broken. This is Bill Apter, and I'll see you at the matches.
GTG, often imitated but never duplicated. Kind of broad at the shoulder, narrow at the hip. No other promotion give us any lip. We the best of the best, the beasts of the East. SOS, simply out of sight. GTG.
What he said, good times guaranteed.
I just want to come away from it a little bit, but not too long ago, I was on YouTube. And Family Feud came on.
Right.
I just found it amazing because you were up against the WCW, NWA guys. How was that experience doing Family Feud with it being such a big
Oh my gosh. So we did 10 shows total. So when you go to the show, I thought we were doing one game show. When you're there, you tape 5 that day. And I didn't really know those characters very well. So for me, it was like, well, who are these guys? But Sting was one of them. And he was very, very, I mean, everybody was cool. I just didn't know who they were until later in life, who were on the show with me. It was fun.
Wow. Well, yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I typed it in. I just typed wrestling, Family Feud, because obviously loads of different promotions have done it over the years, but it was funny.
When it was WCW versus Glow.
Yeah.
With Family Feud, it's Jim Ross. Well, I don't know why I didn't think of it was Z-Man, Tom Zink.
Yeah.
As himself, Brian Pillman.
Yeah.
Brad Armstrong. Jim Ross. Hollywood, of course. Godiva, Mountain Fiji, Justice, Jackie Stallone. Then on the next one, we had some other characters. Anyway, so no, we did not know that the rug was going to be pulled out from underneath us. Because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now what do I do for a job? I've had this job for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
The only thing that I thought about was, wow, I'm a 20-year-old now. I could go out. I don't have a curfew. I can go and party. I can have a boyfriend. I can live a regular life without being on the road, because you know what? It's difficult trying to maintain a relationship on the road. I think that's why a lot of people, or at least some of the wrestlers, are together or married on those shows. For me, I did not want to date anybody in the wrestling business. I'm not going to marry them. I've been hanging out with some, they're like my brothers. I knew that I wouldn't marry anybody from my high school. Same thing with wrestling. But never say never. You never know.
Did you come away from wrestling altogether after Glow, or did you get booked for anything in any other promotions?
Right. So after Glow ended, myself and Lightning started doing the indie scene. So we did a lot of independent wrestling up in Northern California and Texas and different territories on the West Coast. Then I did a little bit of acting here and there, because from Glow, I was on a TV show called We've Got It Made and Married with Children, the Kenny Rogers special. There was different shows, and all of those are union. So when you're going from a show that's non-union to a show which is union, now you're getting your union card and you're getting paid way more money and residuals on top of that. That was the same thing with the Family Feud. I had no idea that they were going to pay us. I just figured we would win, and of course that we would just play for charity, because we did play for charity, but they also gave us an appearance fee, which was pretty cool.
That's nice. Yeah. You know, it's a bonus, isn't it? Anything like that.
Yes. Well, when you're not expecting it and nobody's telling you, you're just like, TV? Yeah, I'm going to be on TV. The power of television is just huge. It's crazy, you know? And here's another thing, too. If I look back, I wouldn't change anything other than the fact that I wish it would have been on a little bit later. And I mean, time-wise, year-wise, when the internet was popular and we had cell phones and we had social media, things might be a little bit different for us. All we had was fan mail and television. That was it.
Literally over here in the UK, I don't know if it ever got shown over here. You might know. I don't know. Did it get shown over here at the time when you were doing it in the 80s? Do you know?
Did what? Say that? We went over to
Glow to program.
Our show. I know it was, because myself, and there's a picture on the wall over here somewhere. No, that's not the one. But it's myself, Mountain Fiji, Debbie Debutante, and Babe the Farmer's Daughter. We ended up going to London. Wow. And we met with some, people there, and we did some promos at your HMV stores, different places. They also took us to Cardiff by the sea, so up a little bit. Took the train up there. I think that was my first time to visit England, and I loved it. One of my favorite things that I remember is there was flowers on the corner, and they were freesias, and I'd never smelled freesias. If you haven't, they're the most beautiful smelling flowers. So I remember buying some and putting them in my hotel room. And another thing, I hadn't been to London, so my flight over there out of California, I think it's a 10-hour flight from California over to Heathrow. Well, I didn't go to sleep, so I was up all night talking to some surfer dude on the flight. Everyone's sleeping. We're drinking and talking, and then I get to London, which is the morning, and I've got the whole day to, like, all I want to do is go to sleep. So I learned I better get a little rest before I get into the UK, stay up on the same time, and then fall asleep. That was usually my MO. I'd sleep and then wake up, have the whole day to do whatever, go to sleep, and try to be on your time. So I learned that quickly.
You actually went to Cardiff, Wales, where I am.
Yes.
I'm in the north. Jeannie, it is God's country. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, Wales.
You're right.
I just how was
beautiful.
It Cardiff?
I just remember being by the ocean side. I mean, I loved everything about the UK. I'd love to come back and explore the places that I've not been, because there's so much. And I'm a history person, really big time history. So there's a lot of history. I always thought that New York, this is a long time ago, I hadn't been outside of the United States. So when I got to the UK to see where the Queen lives, and I would love to go, like, I even go back to, I love, like, Henry VIII. I love following the whole succession of the kings and queens and such. I don't know what you would call it, but that is just, like, so intriguing to me. Anything that comes on about Queen Elizabeth, I love to watch. There's a good, I think it was a Netflix, or maybe it's a CNN series about her becoming queen. It's just amazing. I love it. Anything like that is just, any ancestry about that time, any of those time periods are just phenomenal to me.
It's nice. It's nice hearing you guys in America, because when I spoke to Barry Horowitz, he said he's big into the royals as well.
Me too. It's just intriguing.
It's nice.
It's just, you have no idea. And it's almost like with history. I love the history, or with wrestling. I also love the history of wrestling. Like, we have to have our history. We have to know where we came from, so that way we know how to go forward as well. You know what I mean? So just knowing, and I love the whole Ancestry.com and 23andMe, just to figure out who else, where did your line come from? When did your last name, who was your great grandfather? It's just fascinating.
Absolutely. Going back to wrestling, could you have foreseen how far women's wrestling's come? Into them now. Could you have foreseen it when you were doing Glow? How much bigger it's gotten?
I guess with everything that happens, but back then I didn't foresee any of it. I didn't know that Glow Netflix would happen 32 years later. I had no idea the evolution of women's wrestling. So they've come far, and it's really lovely when you have younger wrestlers saying that they did watch you on TV. I dig it. You were my favorite, or you inspired me to become a wrestler. It's just really heartwarming, heartfelt.
Do you think the TV show was well done? Do you think they did it right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time when these things get made, some people say it wasn't a true reflection. Do you think it was a true reflection the way it was done?
No, it's not a true reflection. It's not a carbon copy, but yes, it's women wrestlers, and the beginning of it, when she has that audition, when Allison Brie has that audition, that's exactly, for me, how it happened. got up and left when they found out. So some of it's true. It's not a carbon copy. There were no drugs. Our director did not do drugs. He didn't do alcohol. So, I mean, you have to change things up for television. You know, you have to change things up so that your audience comes back for more. So I think they did a really good job. Didn't know that would happen, but anything that is promoting or giving a resurgence to our show, fantastic. And that helps us. We did a lot of conventions actually before, and then we started doing more. People thought, I will be honest, I had people asking me if I was on the Netflix show. Oh, are you one of the wrestlers on the show? I'm like, no, I'm one of the wrestlers who it was about.
Jeannie, do you watch much wrestling now? Do you watch?
Not as much. I mean, when you're kind of not performing live anymore, you don't. But I try to keep up on it. A lot of our fans on social media keep me informed of who's what, where, and and I have some favorites too. I like Charlotte Flair. I think she's awesome. There's a redhead that I love that I think is incredible. But I don't keep up on it as much as I would if I was still performing live. Now, don't get me wrong. I still do a lot of wrestling with smaller companies. Here, I probably, myself and Lightning are the only ones that do. But people ask me, how long are you going to wrestle? I wrestle until my body tells me I can't. So I exercise, I eat right. And that's a good recipe for a longer, hopefully longer life.
Going back to Charlotte Flair, I still maintain there were some great matches at WrestleMania. I know it obviously changed the way they did it, the format, but I still say Rhea Ripley and Charlotte had the best match of the two nights. Rhea Ripley, 23, 24, she's got such a bright future ahead of her, that girl.
What's her character? Her name was Ray?
Rhea Ripley, she's Australian. Okay. She's Australian girl. So she's the future of that company. Definitely.
That's awesome.
You can just tell.
I need to check. Exactly. You can tell which ones will make it. You definitely, I always can tell when somebody gives 110%, I'll look, I go, that girl's going to go far. You just know.
When she came for her tryouts and stuff, and they used her years ago, they said you look too much like Charlotte. Anyway, repackaged the girl, and she's got like a metal rocky persona. So
I like that.
It's cool.
That. I need to look for her then.
Jeannie, I'd like to speak about Hollywood Botanica, to come away from wrestling.
Oh, thank you. So, Hollywood Botanica, that is handcrafted homemade soaps. That came about in January of 2019. I just love soaps, and I love products that don't have a lot of preservatives in them. Things that are natural, that are good for our skin. So I was always buying this anyway. So one day, Christmas time, I was looking at a bunch of a kiosk. This lady had this whole thing full of soap, and I'm smelling them. I'm looking how they're made. So I just did some due diligence, watched a lot of videos, bought a lot of books, made some mistakes here and there, and then started making my own soap just for fun. Then I gave them to my friends, to my family. They were getting better and better. But the thing about it is I love doing it. So when you're something that you love, you put 110% into it, just like wrestling. If you love it, you will give 110. Then this pandemic came about, and then more and more people, I'd already started the soaps over a year ago, so I already knew what I was doing. So I made one this morning already. I did orange and patchouli. It's one of my best sellers. It's just, all it is like 4 different oils. It's mango butter, coconut oil, castor oil, olive oil. And then you need distilled water and sodium hydroxide, which makes soap. There's nothing else. And then on my essential oils, I did patchouli and orange essential oils. That's it. You mix it all together, put it in a loaf. And what I did to make the color orange, I used organic carrot puree. So you know what I mean? So I love it. You can see that it's something that I dig. And then that takes about 3 weeks to cure. And that'll be ready in 3 weeks. And then other than that, I have my other ones. I have something that I call American Pie. I've got tobacco vanilla, which I love. I have mint to be, which is peppermint. And then there's a lot of going on there. And then I have these mermaid ones that I love. They're just some mermaid ones that make it look different. But that's it, Hollywood Botanica, and you spell it BOTANIKA.com.
I think that's the perfect way to close out. Now, could you please plug all your social media for the listener and listener viewers where they can find you, if you will?
Great. Yep. And if anybody wants to follow me on social media, my Instagram is @GlowHollywood. And I have a Twitter @GlowHollywood. And then there's Facebook, which we all use still. And that's Hollywood Productions. And then my soap is Hollywood Botanica. There you have it.
That's cool.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jeanne Basone, a.k.a. Hollywood from Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Thank you so much for coming on Stu's Wrestling Podcast today.
Stewie, thank you so much for having me. We'll do a part 2 sometime.
Big thank you to 3210s for their track Sonar in the intro and the outro of today's show. Cheers, boys, for letting me use it. Big thank you to Mike Angus for the show intro, as always. Superb. Chris Dutton, thank you very much for editing once again. Appreciate it, buddy. And also to Lee, who does my website. Lee puts the stuff up on the website. Without you guys, I'd be screwed. So once again, as always, appreciate everything you do for me and the time you spend doing the things you do for me. It means a lot, guys.